So what helped you to find that path? What took you down the utilizing that resilience and that strength to then become an Olympic athlete and what you are today?
A few things, really. I suppose I'm very fortunate. I'm one of the lucky ones. When I say one of the lucky ones, I still have to deal with my trauma. Don't get me wrong, 14 years in the care system didn't come without its trauma for me either.
Mm.
So I had an auntie in the second children's home, Auntie Ray. I call her my bright, shining star. In fact, you'll know because in October the 24th of this year, my book comes out. It's called My Bright Shining Star. It's about a 3-year-old Fatima that lived in the care system. And it's quite a big hole in the market, to be honest, in terms of a book that explains what goes on with children that come into the care system. And for children that live alongside that, they can understand more clearly what these children are going through. And for children that go into the care system, important for them to understand, don't fear for what's going to happen to you, because it's absolutely a loving, kind story that explains that all. And for families that may think, they want to open their homes and their hearts to fostering these children, so important. This is called, so that Auntie Ray was my bright, shining star. And I always remember Auntie Ray, talking about the importance of people understanding the traumas of what these children go through. Auntie Ray actually got us kids. We knew she understood us. And I called Auntie Ray the tickle monster. And the reason why I called her the tickle monster was because in the mornings, if she was on duty, I'd wait until she came under the bed sheets, hid under the bed sheets, until she come and got me, tickled me and got me. I wouldn't get up because I didn't feel my day had started. And so it's just as well she did, otherwise I'd still be there now, Andy. But Auntie Ray, I used to, she was an East End lady, a Cockney lady, and all the kids, loved her. And so I used to run upstairs onto the balcony and I look out the port window and I could hear her clip-clopping and I see her walk all the way to the end of the road and go into the gate there. Oh, that's where she lives. And I must have been about 10 years old. And I decided to pick all these daffodils, which were all around the fields in the people's gardens where my children's home was. Naughty girl. Mm-hmm. And I picked these daffodils and I walked down to Auntie Ray's and I knocked on her door with daffodils behind my back. When she opened the door, I said, "Will you be my mummy?" and presented the flowers to her. And she said to me, "Fat," she said, "come round the back, let's talk about this." And I thought, I'll be in trouble now for picking the flowers. So we sat down, we had a cup of tea in her kitchen and she gave me a biscuit. She said, "Flats," she said, "let me tell you," she said, "I can't just be your mummy," she said, "because I've got to be mum to all those other children too." She said, "But here's the thing," she said, "I'm not always there, but you are." She said, "So why don't you be their mummy when I'm not there?" So what that taught me, Andy, was that two really important things that stayed with me for the rest of my life. The first was, I thought about it and I thought, yeah, I could do that. And I used to be their mum when Auntie Ray went out. So I call out any injustice, which made me a bit unpopular, but nevertheless. I'd look after them, I play with them. We played trampoline on the beds, pillow fights, we draw matchstick men on the steamed up windows, all the silly things that kids do. And I gave them the love and cuddles. And in giving them that support, they gave it back to me. So I got that love back. So that was the first thing, in giving you receive. And the second thing that it taught me was to swivel the lens. So I wasn't feeling imprisoned in my own head and being victim of my own circumstances, because most of the kids were in that circumstance, not knowing where mummy is and mummy and daddy, and crying every night, rocking yourself to sleep, having bad dreams, wetting the beds, all these kinds of things that relate to young children growing up in trauma. And it really gave me a sense of purpose, an important sense of purpose of looking out and looking after for these young children. And that's, again, I never grew up feeling victimized because of that reason. I was a protector. I was the mum figure. Even we had the baby in our room. The girls' room was always with the baby in the cot, and it would cry every night. And as hard as I'd bang on the fire doors to wake up the house auntie, she could never hear us. So we were never sure if it was selective hearing either.
Sounds like it might have been.
But I would take the baby to bed with me, and I was really careful not to roll over on the baby. But then when I got to school next day, I would often be falling asleep in the classroom. But that was more important to me, looking after the baby and looking after the kids. It gave me that sense of purpose. And I've always been somebody that believes in calling out any injustice, because indirectly you're doing a disservice to those that if you don't, for future, people that come along. For me, it's all about living and self-growth, understanding your circumstances and how best you can deal with it. Yeah. And what your limitations are, and unless you try something, as I've always said, you'll never know. And the whole point is, the first step is where you normally start, and that's part of what life's all about. And if you don't really want, one of the things I always say, people don't like doing stuff through failure or criticism. So the only way you're going to avoid that is do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. And that just isn't the way we are in society today.
I mean, it sounds like an amazing thing as far as those two insights you just gave there that you got from that particular staff member, I suppose. But it doesn't sound like you ever saw her as a staff member. Yeah.
I never thought that. We always called her as auntie, but she was a 42-hour lady. She ended up a 72-hour lady. We had a few of them, but they're far and few between. But the impact they can have on children's lives in care, so important. So when they do take these jobs, to realise, that you do have an impact on children's lives.
Have you ever encountered an adult or child's behaviour that has felt difficult, overwhelming, or challenging? Have you sometimes felt at a loss of what to do, or know that you didn't handle it quite right? People are complex and unpredictable, and their behaviour can be like the weather. We've all made the mistake of looking out the window and feeling safe to wear shorts, but 5 minutes later, wishing for an umbrella. But what if, like a weatherman, you understood how humidity, temperature, and pressure all come together to cause the weather, allowing you to better prepare, predict, and respond, and prevent ever having a picnic ruined by a thunderstorm ever again? My book, called Targeting the Positive with Behaviours that Challenge, helps you to become the weatherman of behaviour. It provides you with a toolkit to increase competency, confidence, resilience, and empathy, so you feel more assured about how to respond to distressed or dysregulated behaviours in others, including those affected by trauma, mental health, neurodiversity, learning disabilities, or dementia. Build better connections, achieve de-escalation, and improve outcomes for yourself and those you engage with my celebrated 6-stage target model, a step-by-step process to reduce distress for everyone. Discover my empowering, person-centered guide in Targeting the Positive, written by me, Andy Baker, available from online bookstores worldwide. Find a link in the description and order today.